Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about One Piece. We got some news coming up, including the Nintendo Direct, Sony State of Play, some trailers, and we also are going to look at some stuff coming up on the horizon. I want to start this podcast out by just saying that we missed a week. That's because I had like a medical issue. I'm still kind of dealing with some stuff from that, but that's all I kind of really want to say about it, is that we missed it and we're sorry, and we are now picking up where we left off. So, let's start with our On the Horizon segments.
On the horizon. On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And we have on Wednesday, September 27th, the wonderful story of Henry Sugar is coming to Netflix. This is a Wes Anderson movie based on the Roald Dahl book and starring Benedict Cumberbatch. It looks pretty interesting. It's got that Wes Anderson style to it, and it's Roald Dahl, which has also got like a real stylistic kind of fantastical look to everything. And yeah, that's coming out on September 27th to Netflix. Then on Thursday, September 28th, Castlevania Nocturne drops on Netflix. I know you're probably excited for this one, right?
It's alright. Not a big Castlevania fan. Like, I've only, played one of the games a little bit. No, this looks amazing. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is hype as hell.
And then on Friday, September 29th, Gen V is dropping on Amazon Prime. This is The Boys spinoff that takes place in a college. We've talked about this before when trailers have come out and stuff. I don't think either of us are super psyched about it, but The Boys is good, so it's definitely something to check out.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty expansion also drops on Friday, September 29th for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. So yeah, I'm super psyched about this. I need to finish up Tears of the Kingdom. I'm at the end of Tears of the Kingdom. I'm at that point where I'm like, oh, I need to finish all these side quests and I need to do this and that, but I really don't feel like doing it. They're just there. And I need to just get my ass off the ground and finish that game and get myself ready for Phantom Liberty, because besides Tears of the Kingdom, this is the game that's most anticipated for me. I loved Cyberpunk, so I'm eager to play this expansion. And they're launching it alongside like a complete revision of the old game. They just updated pretty much everything. It's Cyberpunk 2.0 and the Phantom Liberty expansion. And those are dropping on Friday, September 29th. So that's exciting times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then we got two movies coming to theaters also on Friday, September 29th. The Creator, which is like an AI, robots versus humanity kind of thing. And Saw X, or Saw 10. I don't know what they want to use for their official naming convention. But
yeah, I don't know.
The new Saw movie. That's on Friday, September 29th in theaters. That's it for our On the Horizon segment. And now we're moving on to On Beat. On Beat. On Beat is our news segment. We're going to start off talking about some trailers, then we're going to move into the Nintendo Direct and Sony State of Play and some other stuff. Let's start off with the trailers, though. We got a trailer for The Boy and the Heron, which is the next movie from Hayao Miyazaki of Studio Ghibli. It was said for a long time it would be the last movie. Now they're saying it might not be the last movie. He's getting really up there in age right now, though, so this very well could be his last movie.
It's funny because originally, he said this was his last movie, and I guess, after this released in Japan, somebody works with him, they said on social media that he walked back into the studio and said, I got another in me. Basically. Yeah.
He's announced his retirement, I think, every movie for the last, like, in my lifetime, basically, I think.
Yeah.
Every movie that's come out has been his last movie. So I just think he can't retire. He's gonna work until he dies, probably.
Yeah.
And, he's
definitely.
just one of those people, or until he just can't work anymore. It's one or the other, but his current last movie, The Boy and the Heron, had a trailer. It looks great. I mean, it's cool to see
fantastic,
animation, 2D animation with like that level of fidelity and clarity and, vision to it. It looks great. Yeah. Always excited for a new Miyazaki movie. We got a trailer for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This looks like a wet blanket.
It's a sequel to Aquaman. Like, what can I say?
The only thing that even remotely interests me is like the relationship between him and his brother, who he springs from jail as being kind of the center point. I think there's like maybe one shot of Amber Heard in the trailer.
Yeah, there was like
all
only
the controversy.
One shot of Mara. Yeah, kind of like downplaying her role in this. If Mara does have a major role in this, who knows? But, like, was not a huge focus of this trailer, at least.
Yeah, but Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, okay. I just want to move on to the new DC universe,
Right, yeah. I want to see, like, the first trailer for, the new Superman film. James Gunn's Superman. I want to see that so bad.
Yeah. And then lastly, we got what's like just the right before launch trailer for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. It's basically like a scene lead-in that shows kind of the starting point for Idris Elba's character in this story as like this kind of spy character, and he's on like a train or it's like a train or a monorail or something like that.
Just call it a train. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
And it's the old kind of bit of him thinking he's just kind of in the clear and on his way out, and then he gets surrounded and shit goes down. And yeah, you're getting kind of the vibe of what's setting up for his story. And, I'm excited. I can't wait to finally play it, as I already mentioned in our On the Horizon segment. But it's not really a trailer that kind of blows you away or anything. There isn't a lot of new information or anything in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it for our regular trailers, and now we're going to move on to the Nintendo Direct. Nintendo had their September Direct. It was kind of obvious it's going to happen because they always do one in September. I think I got a lot more than I expected from this Direct. I thought it was going to be a pretty slim pickings Direct, but a lot of people were a bit down on it. There's nothing in this that like really blew me away or made me like super excited or anything, but like I haven't really been expecting much for basically the rest of this generation for the Switch, like it just feels like we're right at the end of the generation, and every actual new thing that we've gotten from not just this Direct but the last big Direct too is felt like gravy to me. Like I don't need all this stuff. Like I'm already, like I've mentioned it several times, I'm pretty much set for the year, game-wise. Like, I don't need any more games. So I'm pretty good. Like I don't need all this extra stuff they're giving, but they keep dropping stuff, and then people are complaining that it's like, oh, it's a bunch of remasters and remakes and stuff. It's like, yeah, they're at the end of their generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they're getting ready for the next generation.
Yeah.
If this was any other Nintendo system, it would just be nothing but Kirby games. So, kind of lucky.
If you look at, like, 3DS in 2017, the year the Switch launched, what was on the 3DS? It was like, Captain Toad. They did a Yoshi's Woolly World port. They did,
is that when Samus Returns came out?
Samus Returns, yeah, that came out. That was, like, probably the only again, that was a remake, but granted, it's a remake of a very old Game Boy game, so, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's a remake, not a remaster,
Yeah, it's a remake. But it was mostly stuff like that. It was mostly ports, off of the Wii U to the 3DS. Or like other, like, they did the Bowser's Inside Story remake which was, like a DS, just like a generation prior. So it was mostly like that kind of content from Nintendo in 2017 because like they were winding the 3DS down. It wasn't like, they were winding that generation down. It's the same deal here. They're winding down. Most of their major development has switched to the next platform. The Mario Kart, the next big 3D Mario game, whatever else. That's on
Zelda's
a new
probably a ways
system.
off.
Zelda is years away. Years.
Yeah.
I predict like the next Zelda we're going to get is going to be a 2D Zelda. And again, that's on the next.
I'd like to see another 2D Zelda. I really think they need to diversify their Zelda output. books.
I think Nintendo has fallen into, like, this has developed a good pattern with their franchises where they'll go, like, 3D, 2D, 3D.
Yeah.
Now.
I honestly, and I've said this before, I think what Nintendo should do with Zelda is that they should get, like, Grezzo, who made, like, the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask ports and stuff, kind of help build up that team a little bit and continue to make, like, those old-style 3D Zeldas, and just with less importance, and have them kind of do that, put out some 2D Zeldas, and then you have your big open-world, huge Zeldas, and that way, like, we don't have, like, 6 years between titles, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Realistically, like, any sequel to Tears of the Kingdom's probably coming out towards at least the middle of the next generation life cycle. It's not going to be there at Switch 2's launch.
I think it's going to be like Wii or Wii U.
Yeah.
It's going to be the very end, you know?
It's going to be the very
came out, like,
end.
what, the last year?
Yeah.
Or the year before the last year, and Breath of the Wild came out on Wii U and simultaneously on the Switch when the Switch launched, you know?
Yeah,
like, right at its
it
death.
was end of life, yeah. Same thing, yeah. Same thing with Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess came out at the end of GameCube's lifespan, and it made for, like, a launch. And again, like, those ports happened from, like, the Twilight Princess, GameCube and Wii, and Breath of the Wild, Wii U and Switch, because the two hardware platforms were, like, very similar in power, to the point where you could market it. They have to do, like, a huge graphics upgrade for, like, putting it on the new system to, like, justify it.
Yeah. It's just, we're ways off for Zelda. Like, it's...
Yeah.
That's way
That's why I
off.
say, like, we're getting a 2D Zelda next. The question is, like, the last one they did on the Switch was a remake of an older game.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, and again, like, the one they had on the 3DS was an original game. So my question here is, like, there's no question it's going to be a 2D Zelda. The question is, are they going to go with an original game, or are they going to go with, like, another remake of an older title, like, say, the Oracle games?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if we got a remake of the very original 3DS game you just mentioned.
I still feel too soon. Too soon for remakes of that. Yeah, but yeah.
We need to talk about the Nintendo Direct. So, we have a few games we picked out from here that we're going to talk about. Quite a few, actually, but let's start things off with kind of the least important, probably, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass Wave 6. We got one new track reveal, which is Daisy Circuit for Mario Kart Wii, and then we got character reveals for Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and Peachette. I don't think I've ever even played Mario Kart Wii, so this is like an unfamiliar track for me. I really don't care about using other characters besides what I always use now.
Well, that's good for you, but I think the new character choices are pretty solid, with the exception of
Peachette's a little weird. Yeah, Peachette's
pretty lame. It's literally Toadette with the Peach crown to make her look like Peach. I don't know, why do we need another Peach in this game?
Pauline is the most interesting. Pauline on the Switch has gotten like a revolution, you know?
The Switch, Mario Odyssey, like, they brought back Pauline big time. She was, like, in Donkey Kong in, like, 1981, and then, like, Nintendo forgot she existed until, like, this generation for some reason.
Yeah.
And, no, they did, like, an excellent job of bringing Pauline back and making her relevant, and since her reintroduction in Odyssey, she's become a fan favorite character. I know, like, there were a lot of people in the Mario fandom who were hoping Pauline would show up in the DLC roster, and that happened, and that's solid. Apparently she was playable in Mario Kart Tour.
Mm-hmm. The game, which we shall not speak of.
Yes. Well, like, the game, like, they just announced is no longer going to receive new content updates.
Good.
Yeah. I don't
Time
know
to move on from those mobile efforts, Nintendo.
No new content, but yeah, that's solid. Diddy Kong's solid. Diddy Kong was one that I did want to see, because it's been a hot minute since Diddy Kong's been in a Mario Kart game. And so glad to see that. Funky Kong, I could, Funky Kong's alright. I don't mind. And then Peachette, for me, is just why? Why do we need a third Peach?
Yeah.
Or no, like a fourth Peach.
Yeah, we have what? Peach Gold Peach?
Yes.
And then,
Pink Gold Peach and Baby
right?
Peach. Yeah. It's like, why do we need a fourth Peach?
Yeah. I don't think we need any of those metal versions of the characters at all.
No, we don't. We don't, but they're there.
That's a wasted spot. It just should be like a color variation for like the regular, if that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
The next game we're going to talk about is another Code Recollection. This one, probably of the old games, the biggest surprise for me, just because we went through that Wii era, and, we talked about how, my involvement in, like, Operation Rainfall and stuff, and the reason why Operation Rainfall had to kind of kick off is because Nintendo was basically just leaving all of these games outside of America. Just, like, not bringing them over. And another Code is one of those games, I don't think we got either of them, did we? I'm not sure about the handheld one, which was Trace Memory. Did we get that over here or not?
Yeah, we got Trace Memory. We got the first one.
But we didn't get
the Wii
R,
one,
which was the Wii one, yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, the Wii one's just the one we didn't get for whatever reason. Maybe because Trace Memory didn't do very well over here on the DS. I have no clue.
Yeah, but it's interesting, some of the old games that Nintendo has brought back and remastered. Remember they brought back those, what was it, the Famicom Murder Mystery ones or whatever, the light novel games they had? That they brought those back and they looked great, and now they're bringing back another Code, and they, the visuals look great, everything looks great on those games. I don't know if I have time for this game. Like I said, I'm full for the year. This game is just not going to take priority, but this is a game I really wanted to play another Code R when I had my Wii. And that makes a point here, is that we're not starved on the Switch. We're feasting. We were starved on the Switch and we didn't get this game. And now we're getting it when we're feasting. And it's like, just kind of like, what's that? That's some Brussels sprouts? Yeah, get that off my plate,
Right, yeah. I saw like Chris Kohler tweet, Nintendo of America circa 2004 to 2006 sure gave current Nintendo America a lot of opportunities to say, for the first time in North America.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. We should get more.
Yeah, we should get more.
There was a game called, I think, Zengeki no Reglave or something. I can't remember what it was. It was basically a game made by the team that does, like, the Earth Defense Force games. And, like, you played like a Viking, and it used, like, the Motion Control Plus, and you just, like, took out, like, huge, like, Viking enemies or something. And it was, like,
that
some
would
crazy
be awesome.
game. Like, that was another one that didn't come out here, So it's like, yeah, bring all those weird ones out. Why not, Any moment you're not bringing out the Switch 2, just load up all those weird games. We missed out on.
It's the last year of the Switch, so just get weird with it. Come on.
Yeah, seriously. I'm told, like I keep saying, I'm done. I'm good for the year. I got the games that I want to play. Everything else is gravy. I might not even be able to get to it. Just go weird. You don't have to blow us away with some huge exclusive. Just give us the weird shit. It's time.
I'm down with that.
The next game we're talking about is Saga Emerald Beyond. This is crazy how kind of under the radar this flew in the direct. This is a new Saga game.
Yes, it is.
And Saga's a franchise that didn't get a lot of support in the West from Square Enix, but it did. It's a big franchise in Japan. Saga used to be there were Final Fantasy games that were labeled, that were Saga games that were labeled as Final Fantasy.
Yeah, like the first two Saga games
on Game Boy.
We're on the Game Boy, and Square's U.S. marketing decided to market them as Final Fantasy in the West instead of like an original IP, because probably for the business reason that like, oh yeah, these are weird games. They'll probably sell better if we trick people into thinking they're Final Fantasy. It's fine.
But the thing is, there's so many Saga games, and it's hard to keep track of them because I'm not just super into that franchise, and a lot of them didn't come out.
One of the problems with Saga, again, it's a problem of their own making, is like, they released the first two in the West on the Game Boy. They called them Final Fantasy, and then I don't think any of the games on the SNES got released here. They were all like Japan-only releases, and I think the next game that got like a US release was Saga Frontier on the PS1, which followed like the boom in RPGs that came in the wake of Final Fantasy VII.
The Squaresoft boom, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how well the Saga Frontier games did on the PS1. They did well enough because that was like a period where I was actively following RPGs and stuff, and so like I knew Square put that out. I don't remember it getting like fantastic reviews at the time. So I mean, yeah. And then like I don't know for there. It's just never a series off.
But what's
here
crazy
in the
here
West.
is that this is a new game, and
Yes.
you could almost not notice. Like I was like halfway through the trailer and talking
I mean,
about
I
it before
noticed.
I kind of really realized, oh, this isn't an old one. This is a new one. Like I just
Yeah.
kind of like it took a while for me to kind of accept that because I'm just like, oh, they're bringing over another one of those Saga games that never came out over here or something, you know. And then it's like, oh shit, it's a new game, and it's just like it just flies so under the radar. It's just
For sure.
Nobody's talking, I don't think, about Emerald Beyond, you know?
Oh, one thing about Emerald Beyond is like it's coming to everything, even mobile devices.
Of course, that's the way to do games like this now.
Yep.
The next game announced, is something I am a bit more excited about, and that is Unicorn Overlord. It's a tactics game in the vein of like Tactics Ogre, as in not Ogre Battle, but Tactics Ogre.
I should say this is the new game from Vanillaware.
That's what's exciting about it more than anything for me.
Yes. And you can tell right away because of the art style. Like,
Yeah.
Vanillaware has like a very distinctive, unmistakable art style to their game.
It's like you could see a Disgaea game from a mile away and know it's a Disgaea game. Same thing with like any game from Vanillaware, you know? It's like, you see it, it's like, oh, Vanillaware, you know? It's
Right, yeah,
immediate.
exactly. Yes.
So yeah, it's a really cool looking Vanillaware game, you know? Looks good. They should bring over, they should do a port of, Muramasa the Demon Blade for Switch. Just
They
saying.
should do, yeah.
Next up, we got a trailer for Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. We haven't heard from this game in a while. It's been a minute. And this seems to be like Switch gameplay they're showing in this trailer. It looks, to me, notably
hopefully it
worse.
is.
It looked notably worse than stuff we'd seen before, but we're
Right.
seeing more of it, and it does show that cool kind of like camera shifting in the battle system that looks really cool from like the first trailer or footage that they had of this game is still in place. So I'm glad that didn't just kind of get lost. Yeah, excited for this. I'm kind of by the time this comes out, I'm kind of hoping they also make like a Switch successor version or something, because it looked a little framey. It looked like there was some frame rate issues and stuff, but if it's my only way to play it, I'm still gonna get it, you know, because I love the Suikoden games, and this is the spiritual successor to those. And I also love the HD 2D games, and this is like the only game besides Square Enix that's doing this kind of stuff.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. It looks really cool.
Yep. We finally got a trailer for Princess Peach Showtime. We got a trailer and a name.
Well, we got in the name, yeah. Like previously, the name on Nintendo's like upcoming games list was new Nintendo Switch game starring Princess Peach.
Which is what they should have called it. That should have been the title. It's really catchy. Rolls off the tongue.
Right, yeah.
But Showtime looks interesting. It's a variety game. It's one of those games where like each level's like a new thing, which is cool. That's fun. Looks like it's not terribly deep, but it looks like it'll be fun. And by the time you get sick of a mechanic, it'll throw a completely new one at you, which is kind of what a game like this is good for, you know?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Maybe Pauline will make an appearance.
I mean, it looks interesting. I mean, the concept of, like, the different, like, outfits, you know, giving Peach, like, different abilities and changing up the gameplay is interesting. They showed, like, 4 outfits, 4 or 5 in the trailer. And they said, like, there's more that they haven't shown. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Next up, we're getting a new game in the F-Zero franchise. We kind of had heard rumors about this, and to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. I'm glad there's anything F-Zero coming out, so I'm excited on that front. But I'm not too into the SNES version of F-Zero anymore, at least.
That's my favorite version.
And
I said this on Twitter, like, because your sentiment is, like, a pretty common sentiment among people. Like, people prefer GX or X, and don't get me wrong, I love those games. Those are solid, fantastic games. There's something about the original. There's something about, like, the graphics and the music.
I'm just not into, like,
else.
Mode 7 games.
Yeah, there's just something about, like, the graphics. Not like Mode 7. Forget Mode 7. I'm just, like, talking, like, the backgrounds and stuff. Say, and the combination of the music and just relax, like, I could just get into the zone. I said, like, for me, it's video game comfort food.
Yeah.
It's a game I could turn on and just zone out and, like, kind of get lost in, like, the fantasy of it. But yeah, no, it's understandable
Yeah.
why people don't prefer the SNES version.
I think until 3D graphics, racing games they just have like a weird feeling to them. And if you like that, then that's something you're going to really enjoy. And if you don't, then like none of them are really going to be enjoyable except for like 3D games, you know? And I think that's the case with F-Zero for me is that, I mean, I liked the original F-Zero when I played it, but once we got 3D games and F-Zero X came out and stuff, it was like, okay, 3D racing, yeah, this is the only way to play a racing game for me anymore. Like, I can't go back, you know? It's like one of those things. But, yeah, I mean, it's the 99 aspect that's gonna keep me from playing it as well. I played Tetris 99 when it first came out, and I enjoyed it for a bit, but it's just too stressful for me. Like, I just can't hang in that. I'm just not good enough to hang in that, and I get stressed out, and so it just kind of becomes like it's a no for me, but I'm just excited that there's something F-Zero.
So I want to say, like, I was pretty down on this when it was announced, because I'm like, not so much because of the game itself, but because, like, this is, okay, neat, where's the real F-Zero? It's been 20 years. It's been almost 20 years since the last F-Zero game was released in Japan.
Oh, what are you talking about? There was the Wii U one on Nintendo Land.
Okay, yeah. Next you're gonna try to tell me, like, the Big Blue and Mute City tracks of Mario Kart 8 with the F-Zero car choice, like, counts.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. It's been, like, 20 years, and I would like to see, like, an actual F-Zero game, right?
Yeah.
And so they announced this with, like, no mention of, like, any intention of doing anything else with the franchise, and it's kind of, like, deflating. But I played this, and man, this is very heavily addictive.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people praising it.
Like, it has everything that makes, like, F-Zero good in the first place. Interestingly enough, it even adds, like, the spin from, like, F-Zero, like, X into it, so that you could, like, spin into, like, opponents' cars, which you can't do in the original F-Zero, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's definitely got that, like, you finish a race and you see your placement and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I could do better than that. I could definitely place higher. It's got that just one more race, quality to it. And the way it's done is fantastic. I think, like, people were disappointed they chose the original F-Zero as base. I think actually, as the base for this, it's actually perfect, because
for a 99 game, yeah, definitely.
It keeps things simple enough to where, like, you can have, like, all these cars on the track at one time, and you're not, like, overloading the Switch trying to do, like, GX graphics with, like, 99 cars or some shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
I knew obviously that once I saw that it was 99, like, there's no other game that would fit that in the franchise, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's not doing it for me, but that's just,
I'm gonna say, like, I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, this is actually one of the best games on Nintendo Direct. And the fact that they shadow dropped it is, it's great. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this. I still, like, want them to put out, like, a regular F-Zero game. I've seen this getting a lot of discussion online, a lot of, like, interest from, like, streamers and stuff. And I'm hoping, like, all this newfound appreciation for F-Zero will, like, convince Nintendo to do more with this series.
They need to. So next up, we had another game where we had a leak, which is that there was a leak that we were going to get a Donkey Kong game. And I remember I actually watched, like, a video, I think it was Good Vibe Gaming or something, where they were talking about it, and they said, oh, I just hope it's not a monkey paw thing and it's Mario versus Donkey Kong. And that's what we got. Mario versus Donkey Kong. You know what? Honestly, though, of any of the Donkey Kong type games, this is the one I'm most interested in. So I don't care about Donkey Kong Country. I don't care about Donkey Kong 64. Mario versus Donkey Kong is just like a fun little puzzle-solving platformer, and I could enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game I could put between all of the massive amount of RPGs I need to play.
It's actually the sequel to Donkey Kong 94, and then it kind of became its own series. Like it's
March
like
of the Minis and all sorts of ones,
because like this is the one that's closest in gameplay to like Donkey Kong 94 than like stuff like March of the Minis. Like they incorporate the minis more, and then it becomes like more of like a Lemmings style game with the minis. Like this is like before that. So, like, this is, like, one of the best ones.
Yeah, and as somebody who's not really into handheld games, this is also like a game that I don't think I've played any of the games in this franchise. And
I mean, they weren't all
handhelds.
handhelds. Like, one of them was like a digital game on the Wii U.
Yeah,
like,
I think I might have gotten that and not played it. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like a fun, relaxing puzzle platformer that's like low key, low stakes that I can play between all of the big RPGs I have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it before, I mean, this looks great. Like, the remake graphics look great on it.
Yeah.
Definitely fantastic surprise. This isn't the grand return to Donkey Kong platformers that people expected, but again, I think if they're making a brand new, like, Donkey Kong platformer, like, game, where it'd be, like, Country or something else, I think that's next generation. Sorry, it's just not going to happen on the Switch, I don't think.
Yeah. And then the last game that we're going to talk about from this Direct, that is their one more thing, big drop at the end. And I know some people are super psyched for it, and that is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door HD. The GameCube game is back. It's remastered. It looks really sharp. It looks good. Again, this is like, I have so many.
This is like their one last thing.
I'll piss people off by saying this, but I have so many real RPGs I need to get through. I have a copy of Persona 5 sitting on my Switch. You know, I still have to finish, Tears of the Kingdom. I have the Cyberpunk DLC coming out. I've got like a good, like, 6 to 8 more JRPGs, like, backlogged on my Switch right now, you know? And then that doesn't even count the stuff I have, like, on Steam. So it's just, I liked Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. It's a great game. It's got, like, a really cool style to it, a lot of good humor to it and stuff. But I already played it. You know, I played the GameCube one. I don't really see anything that's, like, drawing me back.
Wow.
I know some people that are super excited about this, so I'm happy for them.
Mister, I play the games when they release. You think you're better than everybody else? No.
I know some people that are super excited about this, so I'm happy for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is going to be really cool, for sure. It's arguably, like, some will argue this is the best Paper Mario. So.
It is. It is. It very much is. Like, you can tell there was a steep drop-off in how much Nintendo cared about the franchise after this game. Like, Super Paper Mario was still pretty good on the Wii, but, like, after that, like, Nintendo just stopped caring. So, yeah, I'm glad people are getting this game that they like so much. But that's it for our Nintendo Direct coverage. But there was another event, another console maker event on the same day. Sony State of Play. They did another one. Just not too much I'm interested in. But Will, you said that you were excited for the new trailer and information that came out for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing. I want to say, like, the actual trailer itself was like, it was pure fan service. It was basically like, yeah, everything you love is here, right? It showed the gold saucer. It showed some of the gold saucer mini games. It showed Vincent busting out of his coffin. And honestly, I was relieved to see when I saw the gold saucer, because, like, I was really worried that would be, like, excised or heavily pared down in this remake. Like, oh yeah, sure, the gold saucer's there. You might be able to do some things, but, like, all the mini games are probably gonna be gone, right? No, they're here. At least in this trailer, like, the mini games seem intact. In fact, like, there was, like, an interview with, the director Nomura the same day where they confirmed more details. Like, they said they're actually building more mini games for the gold saucer in the remake than what's available in the original version, which is pretty crazy.
Going after that Yakuza market.
Yes, going out. Yeah, they should put some classic Square games in this, right?
Just put, like, full on RPGs inside it.
Yeah.
Like something like Brave Fencer Musashi or something.
Yeah, Brave
right?
Fencer
Just drop
Musashi.
them right in the middle of that game.
Yeah, exactly. They also confirmed that the full world map is in this, same as in Final Fantasy VII, the original. You can go out and you can get in your airship or get on your chocobo and explore and go to, like, the different available areas, which is really awesome because I really, like, love doing that in the Final Fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that would be a thing because it's not a thing in modern Final Fantasy games, and this is a remake, modern style. I just didn't think, like, they would do it, but no, they're doing it. Like, they are putting in everything I wanted in a Final Fantasy VII that makes Final Fantasy VII Final Fantasy VII, and thank God for that too. So this does have an ending point. This is only the second part, and I think a 3-part series. So it does have like a cutoff point, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot of content in this. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get my hands on this.
All right, and so that's it for Sony State of Play. And we have one last piece of news, which is a segue into our full spoiler segment, and that is that One Piece has been renewed for a second season, and the scripts are apparently complete. They just need to wait for the strike to end so they can bring the actors on and, get underway on rewrites and start building everything and get ready to film season 2. And that's exciting news because we're about to drop right into our full spoiler segment where we are going to be talking about One Piece. So that's it. Let's get started with full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about One Piece Season 1, the live-action version. It's 8 episodes long on Netflix. Don't worry, you don't have to watch the 1,073 episodes of the anime to catch up and talk about this with us. You only got to watch the 8 episodes of the live-action Netflix series. I'm a big One Piece fan. I've read the manga. I've watched the anime. I just recently caught up entirely on the anime again and the manga, so I'm completely up to date now on both of those. Yeah, this is a pretty great adaptation. And as we've mentioned every time the trailers come out or something, what I've always said is that this is about the highest degree of difficulty for doing an anime adaptation.
Yeah.
It's so weird. This is about as Looney Tunes as anime gets, And the character designs are strange. They stayed pretty loyal. They made a few changes that I'm glad they did. I'm glad they didn't try to give Usopp a really long nose or to give Sanji really weird eyebrows that spiral or anything like that, I'm glad they didn't do that. They made some smart choices, but they stayed pretty loyal. They didn't do a Dragon Ball Evolution on this. They just turned it into some weird sci-fi movie that had nothing to do with the original.
Right, yeah.
So they did a really loyal adaptation. It's kind of like a speed run adaptation. It goes by really quick. Your experience with One Piece is very limited. You've seen a little bit of the 4Kids dub, which is just a monstrosity, and you should scrub it from your brain immediately. And you just kind of picked it up from the zeitgeist. But you'd never really sat down and became invested in the story of One Piece and followed what was going on in it. Now you've watched the first season of the live action one, and what's your thoughts on One Piece?
This is fantastic. No, I had a lot of fun with this. This might actually be one of my favorite shows of the year, just because it is such a fun show.
That's it, right? It's fun.
Yeah.
That's the key word.
It's pure escapism. When people talk about escapism, this is the ideal. You can just turn this on, get lost in it, and not have to think about any problems happening in your life, not get reminded of any issues or anything that's going on.
Yeah.
You just escape into this world.
Yeah. And it works on the backs of the cast, I think. The main cast is so good.
Yes,
Inaki Godoy, who plays Monkey D. Luffy in this.
Oh god, love him.
Oh god, he's perfect Luffy. He personifies Luffy. It's so great. He does such a good job. He's just infectiously optimistic. And so you watch it, and like you said, it's escapism. You watch it, and he gets excited about something, and makes you excited about it because it's just so infectious. Emily Rudd played Nami. She's great.
Yes.
Makinyu as Roronoa Zoro. I still think he's a bit, in me there's a bit where I think that the casting of Zoro and Sanji just feel a little bit weird because of the way the characters look in the anime, next to each other versus the way they look next to each other here. Roronoa Zoro in the anime and manga is just he's more just almost delinquent he's just a tough big guy.
Yeah.
And in here he's kind of a pretty guy, And Sanji is a bigger guy than Zoro in this, where he's much smaller, much more light in the anime and manga and stuff. So there's a little bit of a disconnect for me just with them, but that's just superficial level. That's just on the appearance, everything. Everything else, I love the way that Makinyu plays Roronoa Zoro. Makinyu is a Japanese actor, by the way, who's been in
he's the son of Sonny Chiba.
Yeah, and he's been in a ton of the good anime adaptations, because we always talk about there hasn't been a good anime adaptation. There have, just not in America, not in the West.
He's literally Japanese cinema royalty.
Yes, exactly. But as I was saying, like, we talk about how there's no good anime adaptations until, like, One Piece. There are lots of good anime adaptations, just they're all in Japan. They're all, like, Japanese, like, live-action adaptations, including you'll hear a lot of people talk about, like, the Kenshin anime, for example, which Makinyu is in. Makinyu has done quite a few anime adaptations in Japan, so I'm glad they brought in somebody actually Japanese and, like, really in that form for Zoro. So
yeah,
I think he does a great job. The fight scenes with him are amazing. Like, he just really moves like Zoro and stuff. It's great. Usopp, Jacob Romero. Oh my God. I can't separate him in my mind. Like, I see Usopp or I see Jacob and it's the same thing for me now. I can't separate it.
And that's the same thing, like you said, the Zoro being played by an actual Japanese is great. And also, like, Luffy being Hispanic, like, Oda has gone on record to say, like, if Luffy was a real person, he would be from Brazil.
Yeah, well, like, all these characters. So, he said that Luffy would be from Brazil, Nami would be from, I think Sweden or something, I don't remember. Zoro from Japan, obviously. Usopp from Africa. And Sanji from France. Those are, like, the locations, and they matched that up, you know? So yeah, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad that we got the diversity and that there's no legit debate that anybody can have criticizing it, which I'm happy for.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the cast is just so good. Again, you know, Taz Skylar, like, did an amazing job as Sanji. The fight scenes with him are really good. The fight scenes are better than they have any right being in this. They're so good. They're so cool.
Yes.
I just love, like, the little attention to details. Like, when Zoro's fighting and he puts, like, there was a point where he put the two swords together. He was holding them both in one hand, and so he could pull out his third sword. And the way he dislodged the third sword with his thumb before taking it out is such like if you watch, like, Japanese samurai movies and so, that's such like a thing, you know? And you never see it in, like, Western adaptations that have, like, a samurai character. It's always about, you know, the person quick drawing the sword and going right into the fight or something, but the little details of, like, pushing out the sword with the thumb and then taking it out, there's kind of, like, little almost meditative details and stuff are just so cool.
Oh yeah, like, I think they did a fantastic job just translating this into live action. Buggy's really good.
Oh yeah, Jeff Ward, he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in one of the later seasons. I don't know if you saw him in that, but yeah, great role. And just the way they do the special effects too, like, I think they have the benefit of, because it's kind of cartoony, they don't have to make everything super realistic with the presentation, but just like Buggy's a perfect example. A lot of people talk about Luffy with the rubber abilities looking really good because that's an effect that just hasn't really been done well. Like, even like you look at, like, the Fantastic Four movies that have come out here, or even, you know, Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange 2 in his brief cameo, that it just never quite looks right, you know? And here it looks pretty good. I mean, part of it, like I said, part of it's because it's kind of cartoony that they can push that way and it doesn't look as absurd.
Right. It's a matter of tone, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they have to make it look good, but, like, the fact that they got it tonally correct, and they kind of present this as, like, this heightened, like, cartoonish world. It's not the real world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so they can get away with stuff like Luffy's stretching a lot more than if they tried to, like, pretend, oh, this is a grounded universe or some crap.
Yeah. I think Buggy's ability is the one that kind of impressed me the more. Just the way it looks like when his head, like, when you first see his head get knocked off, and then it, like, the way it kind of pops around in the lap and stuff, it just looks so animated and extra. I guess extra is the best way I can put it. It's so much extra detail that I don't think most productions, if they were trying to do something like that, would bother doing, you know? And it just adds to that presentation, to that feel of who his character is and stuff. So I really dug that and the way that was done. These are, like, the only two, like, Devil Fruit users that we have in the series so far. There's a lot more coming up in, like, season 2, I'm sure, if they're sticking as loyally to it as they did. But in both cases, they did just a really good job of presenting that look. And I'm just glad in general that they stuck with the kind of weirdness of One Piece. They left the Denden Mushis in, which are like the snails, the phones.
Yes, they did.
And not only did they
And then-
leave them in, but they left in the sound they make too. Like when it rings, it goes da 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 da, and it's literally like a guy's voice making that sound. It's so great. I love that so much. There's one thing about One Piece that's interesting that I think you'd know from the anime or from the manga is that a lot of the major characters have like very unique laughs and stuff. Like there's a character that laughs like that's like the way the character laughs.
Yeah.
And that's like a character that's later on that hopefully we get to see somewhere like season 9 of this. But anyways, it's like all the little kind of like sound things are such a big part of One Piece, and like the snail phones and the way they do the, you know, da 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 thing is exact. It's exact. If you watch the anime, it's like the exact same, and it's so great. I'm so happy they did that. It's so weird, and I'm glad they stuck to that weirdness.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what did you think, like plot-wise? Like, was there anything that kind of surprised you? Because you picked up a lot from the zeitgeist. You kind of know the general ideas and stuff of it, but were there things that kind of surprised you or that you weren't expecting?
Things I wasn't expecting, like Garp being Luffy's grandfather.
So
that was kind of twist reveal at the end of like, what was it, like the 3rd episode?
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that I think it was the 4th episode or the 5th episode. So it's 4th episode, I think. It was after the Usopp arc.
Yeah, it was after the Usopp. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But what's funny about that is that, well, first off, all the stuff with Garp and Kobe and all that stuff, except for the stuff that happens initially on Shell Island with Kobe, none of that's in the series. Like they kind of did that to tie in. We catch back up with Kobe way down the line. You meet Garp way down the line. Like Garp wasn't at Roger's execution in the manga. He wasn't at any of that stuff. It's like a lot of that stuff you don't see with Garp until way later. And the reveal of Garp being Luffy's grandfather was something like chapter 400 and something. It's way, way, way past this point where you get that reveal. So it's kind of cool that they just kind of blew that out there. And I think they need to, for a TV series, they need to kind of remind you that Kobe's there, because if his role was like it was in the anime or manga, it'd basically just be the first episode and that would be it. You'd never see him again for multiple seasons. You wouldn't see him again, you know? So
right, yeah, exactly.
They have to kind of like tie that in, and I think it's smart because there's so much material in One Piece that now they can start to reflect on that. So you're going to be able to have Kobe be a character, an important character in other seasons, and you're going to be able to see the kind of things that changed him, because when you see him eventually again, he's very different. He's like much more confident. He can fight. He's actually like useful, you know?
I think what surprised me, one thing that did surprise me, was Kobe's relationship with X-Head Morgan's like son, Helmeppo.
Yeah, most of that happened off screen in the anime and the manga.
Yeah, it's funny because like Helmeppo is like introduced as like such an asshole, and like he gets into like a
most annoying Nepo kid.
Yeah, most annoying Nepo kid. He gets into like this confrontation with Zoro like in the first episode, and you get the impression like this guy is going to be like an antagonistic asshole for the whole series. And then when he's like paired up with Kobe, like I was just like bracing for him to just like constantly antagonize and scheme against Kobe for the entire series, but they actually become like good friends, and that was like a twist I was not expecting.
Yeah,
for that character to like actually like have some humanity to him.
Yeah, that's in the manga and the anime too, but you don't see the development happen. You just kind of you see them again way later on, and they're like friends now.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of assume like, oh, some stuff's gone down, some stuff has happened with these other characters. You don't see that directly. So it's really cool that like the way they're doing it now means that we get to kind of see that development of those characters.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really cool. I like that very much. And again, like a lot of the side characters are really cool too. Like the chef pirate who was and Zeph, who's like Sanji's mentor.
Yeah.
Really interesting character.
And that brings up one of the things they did so well in this that I was the real gauntlet for if this show could work or not, besides like the look and the style and stuff, is that One Piece has a really cool way of like, it's so ridiculous, it's so over the top and stuff, but then the backstories of these characters are very like heartfelt and they're genuine, you know?
Yeah.
And they feel real, and the relationships between these characters and the people in their past, they feel real and they feel important, you know? And the relationship relationship between Zeph and Sanji, for example, is like very important. And that they were able to kind of pull that off in such a truncated amount of time, you know, and make Zeph like father of the year, basically. He's found father of the year.
found father of the year. Yeah, exactly.
It's reminiscent of, I heard somebody else point this out, and it's very true once they did. It's very like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Yondu and Star-Lord.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That is very much like that. I think everybody has fantastic backstory, to be honest. Again, like, obviously, Luffy's story with Shanks, who's like, he's one of the pirate lords of the sea.
Well, way later on, he's one of the emperors of the New World of the Sea.
Yeah.
But that's like way later. That he's a character you catch up with every so often throughout the series. I don't know I don't know if they're going to put him in more in the live action one, but what we see from him in it now is pretty accurate to like how much you see of him in the manga and the anime. It's just like he just shows up every so often. Usually you see him if like Luffy's got a new bounty or something.
Well, you got like well, you got like a like a big Mihawk.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
was a big presence in this season.
That is in the anime and the manga. I think that's the coolest introduction of a character maybe ever. He just comes in the anime. He comes in like on a little tiny skiff on like this huge ocean, and he's on this tiny skiff sitting basically on a throne on top of the skiff with his legs crossed, just kind of approaching. And there's this massive pirate ship, and he just cuts it in half with the sword on his back like it's nothing. And what it is it's a power scaling moment, because you see all the stuff, and you're like, oh, our plucky heroes, and they can do anything and stuff. And then this is like no, there's people way stronger than them out here in this world.
And
you know?
and the best demonstration of that is like, you know, when Zoro fights him. And, you know, up until this point in the show, you've seen Zoro like basically overcome anything. He's won like every fight he's been in up until he gets into this fight with Mihawk and gets completely obliterated.
Yeah, it's completely owned.
But Mihawk, find out like Mihawk is Zoro's goal. Zoro's goal is to become the most skilled swordsman in the world, because that's the promise he made, you know, to a friend who is no longer alive. And Zoro, you know, like takes fulfilling this promise as a sacred duty. And to do that, he has to defeat Mihawk.
Yeah, he's not ready for Mihawk, but he feels like he has to, in order to keep his dream alive, he has to take the opportunity, because it's a rare opportunity that you encounter this person. And he's like, oh, I have to fight him. And he's ready to die for that too, which is important. This is the big theme of One Piece in general. And Oda, the creator of One Piece, has talked about this, that the real theme of One Piece is dreams, is that everybody has to have these dreams. And like he's shown like what the characters would look like, whether they do fulfill their dreams or whether they don't. So like if you see Luffy when he's like 40, if he did fulfill his dreams, he just looks awesome. He looks like a badass. And if he doesn't fulfill his dreams, he looks like a slob.
Right.
Like, and it's kind of like he does everything with the way he presents it, with the way the story's told. Everything's about dreams. So like when Luffy encounters a character that belittles like the dreams of others or something, that's when Luffy gets like super serious, you know? That's like a big part of the whole story. So like that's where you get to see Zoro's dream, you know?
Yeah, that's how you see Zoro's dream. And and Luffy's attitude towards that is like demonstrated here, you know, and because Zoro is going to announces his intention to fight Mihawk. Nami knows it's basically suicide. She's arguing against it, and Luffy, you know, like just says like it's his dream. I'm not going to stand in the way of anybody's dream.
Yeah.
Like even if it is reckless, it's his dream, and I'm not going to stand in his way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge part of the story. Like Luffy might be sad that Zoro's hurt. Luffy, it's not that he's not concerned. It's just that to Luffy, nothing is more important than your dream.
Yeah.
That's why he slaps Kobe.
Right. Yeah.
At that one moment, you know, because it wasn't because Kobe wasn't speaking up fast enough or anything. It had nothing to do with that. It was because Kobe was belittling his own dream. And Luffy's like, don't do that, you know? Like, you have to follow through. Your dream is the most important thing, you know? And that's like a really important thing to the entire series. So I'm glad that that's become such a major part of the series already in the live action one, including like the ending with them. They're doing the salute where they all put their foot on the barrel, you know? And you got that matchup, and that's where, you know, it's all about their dreams. choice about what they want to do in the future, you know?
And again, some of the other best parts are Arlong Park. Just Arlong is like a very intimidating, like very, very great villain. And
I
then
was worried about Arlong and the Fishman because of they do look a little goofy, but when you watch it in the context of the show, like it doesn't bother me at all. Like it's, you're so adapted to it and used to it that by the time they show up, you just accept it. But like when we watched the trailer and stuff, I was like, oh no, the Fishmen look a little goofy, you know?
Right, yeah.
But it didn't end up becoming an issue for me. I ended up really enjoying the performer's great. McKinley Belcher III did a great job as Arlong.
Oh, fantastic job. Yeah, again, like I was able to just roll with it. Like, yeah, it wasn't like they looked fine in the context of the show. It wasn't like, oh my god, like look how weird these things look.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that pulled you out of it. And again, I love this because like it has some of the best like moments in the series are from Nami. Getting to learn Nami's backstory and like her betrayal of the Straw Hats and the reasons why. And then like just the scene like where like she's backstabbed by Arlong and, you know, because she's going to get the money she stole that was supposed to like, that Arlong like promised her she got him that money. He would like set village free. And of course, Nami like tells Arlong that she has the money. He tells her to go get it. And then he has like the Marine captain that he's colluding with, like step in and confiscate that money. And Nami knows in that moment that, you know, Arlong put him up to it. And
he mentions the amount of money, which makes it like obvious.
Oh yeah, it makes it obvious, yeah. Then you just get that scene where she's running towards the village and Arlong had already like sacked it. He set it on fire and everything. And like her despair in that moment. It's probably like the most powerful scene in the entire season, really.
Well, that's a big scene in the manga and the anime too, of when Luffy puts his hat on her, you know?
Yeah.
Cause they made a big point and they did a good job of making Nami like constantly question why he cares about the hat.
Yeah.
You know, like we learn in the flashback, but he doesn't talk about that. And then, she's constantly like, it's just a hat or something. And then it evolves to her like fixing his hat for him because she knows how much he cares about it. And that's all there to build up to that moment when he puts his hat on her head. It's him trusting her with his dream. And at the same time saying, and I'm going to protect your dream. You know, I'm going to go and get your dream back for you now. Take care of my dream while I do that. And that's like what that moment means. And it's such a powerful scene in the anime and manga. It's one of the most famous scenes. All the Straw Hat scenes are really famous. So there's also, we saw the one with Shanks giving the hat to Luffy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why you see why that means so much to Luffy. And, you know, it's like, those are really, really powerful, famous scenes from the manga. So I'm really glad they were able to nail that. The moment, the desperation when she's stabbing at the tattoo on her arm and, you know, all of that. It's all just this build up to the point of like her finally accepting help and accepting that, you know, she's part of this crew now.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, it's good. One Piece is very good.
Yes.
I'm really excited for a season 2. I can't
Same.
wait. I have kind of an idea of what they're going to cover in season 2 because, man, they speed ran. Like, this is a lot of chapters that they went through but I'm fine with that. Like, I'm happy with the accelerated pace because I've already read the manga. I've already watched the anime. So to me, it's like, I don't care that it's paced really fast. I'm curious how people who haven't watched it, like you, how you feel about how quickly it's paced.
I mean, it feels fine to me. Like, I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like, whoa, slow down. It just kind of feels like, okay, yeah, like, that makes sense.
I think they did a pretty good job of that. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that's missing that adds to context and scenes and stuff like that. But, like, I don't think any of it's, like, super essential. I think a lot of it, as long as the performances are good, and they are, like, you get attached to the characters. And so you don't need as much context, I think, because you're already attached. So I think that works. The one thing I'm a little disappointed in, and the showrunner of the show even said the same thing basically, is that he really wanted to show there's a short arc that's basically like the last thing they do before they leave to the Grand Line and then them leaving to the Grand Line. And I think that would have been an amazing season 1 ending, would have been them going to the Grand Line because it's such a cool thing when it happens. I remember the first time I saw it in the anime and I was just like so excited watching it. It was like such a exciting moment that it just really built up your adrenaline. You got so excited about them reaching the Grand Line and the way they unveiled that was so cool that I was really hoping, I totally thought that that's where the season season was going to end. And apparently it was a budget issue. They just didn't have the budget to do all of that, you know? It would have taken another 2 episodes. It would have made it a 10 episode season. But that's what their plan is for season 2, is they're going to cover that. And I think I kind of have an idea. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to like announce a bunch of spoilers, but I have kind of an idea of where I think the next season is going to go to, like the time period, the stretch of chapters that it's going to reach, basically. And I'm so excited for that because there's more fun characters that we're going to meet along the way. And I can't wait for everybody who's new to One Piece to see the Grand Line and how crazy it is.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Because they build it up here. They keep talking about the Grand Line and stuff, but I mean, you don't know yet. You get to the Grand Line's crazy. And once all that stuff starts to come into play, it's really cool world building. And I can't wait to see how they end up doing that with season 2. So yeah, I'm super excited. I was nervous about this show, but man, they knocked it out of the park. One thing I wanted to point out, did you recognize, Kobe?
Oh yeah, he was in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I got that, when I saw Kobe, I got that, I've seen him somewhere. I've seen this person before in something, and I had to Google him. I had to look it up because, I just had that nagging, okay, no, this person was in something else I watched. And yeah, he was the brother in Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That was a cool surprise. I didn't know. I just saw Kobe, in the trailer, you barely see him. And
right.
So, I just didn't really think about it. And then, I was like, holy shit. Yeah, that's awesome. I was like, that's cool. And then there was another surprise like that, which happened at the very beginning of the series, the narrator that opens the series.
Uh-huh.
Ian McShane.
Yeah, Ian McShane. Yep, of
it's
course.
The second he opened his mouth, I could, I'm like, man, they got Ian McShane as the narrator. That's so cool.
No, yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty awesome, actually.
But yeah, so that's One Piece. It's a great, fun show. Just put all your concerns that it, will just be cheesy or won't be good. Just realize this is an incredibly fun series and jump in because it's great. And I'm glad that you finally have some experience with One Piece now.
Yeah. Well, it's easier when, it's 8 episodes about, a 1,000
Over
or
1,000,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, it's when you say that, that's a huge commitment. And, this is, much less of a commitment. So, yeah.
Yeah, but now you gotta work your way through the anime and ain't nobody got time for that.
Right, yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
So, hopefully the strike ends for more important reasons than this, but also because I want them to go back into production.
Well,
I want this season too.
Yeah, I can't wait till it comes back.
Yep. But that's it for our full spoiler segment and for this episode of the podcast. Next week, we don't really have a set plan. We had a few things in place that we were kind of thinking we were going to do, and certain things didn't hit certain streamers that were apparently supposed to, and so we're going to figure out what we're going to do next week in time for next week. Don't be worried. But we don't quite know exactly what we're going to do yet. But thank you everybody for listening. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm @TysonGifford. You can reach Will. He is @FoxandHero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up one of the container stories for this podcast, you'll find all of the relevant links inside, including our Facebook page, our official Twitter, our SoundCloud. All of that stuff is all there. You can check it out. But thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.